Welcome. Oh, we're now live on air. Welcome to the World Book Day Teen Fest Google Hangout. I'm Katherine Woodfine. I'm here with Non Pratt.
This is me. Hello, I'm Non.
Author of this wonderful book, Trouble.
With sperm on.
The one with the sperm on, which we're going to be talking about today, and also about Non's new book, Remix.
Yes, and there will be a really exciting cover review.
Yes.
When I say really exciting, it depends how excited you get back to this.
And also a giveaway, I think. Is that right?
And a giveaway. To win an advance proof of Remix with a goodie bag, which has like a festival survival kit with it, all you have to do is talk to us. That is literally it. Otherwise, if nobody tries to talk to us, Katherine wins it.
So obviously it's in my interest to tell you not to talk to us, but I am going to say talk to us. You can ask us a question, anything you like, and I promise that I will ask it to Non. So, you know, we'll see what happens.
Almost anything.
Almost anything.
I have had bad experiences, actually, of people saying that. I said it once. I once said to a room full of teenagers, you can ask me anything, and they did.
Oh my God, what did they ask you?
I will not repeat it live on air, but it was a fun question.
We'll talk about that later.
Yeah, they did ask me to talk in a French accent. That was a mistake as well.
Oh,
Don't
right.
know
Just
French
put
accents.
that one on my list for a bit later on. But yes, so yeah, all you have to do is to win the goodie bag.
Yeah.
Is ask us a question.
Talk to us.
Yeah. And if you can't do it on the Hangout, you can also ask us on Twitter.
Yes,
and
we are both armed with phones that will alert us to questions.
We'll try to reply. So shall we start by talking a little bit about this one? Yes. Okay. So tell us a bit about where the idea for Trouble came from.
Well, I suck at answering this question.
I thought that was the easy one.
I know it's the easy question. It's the obvious question, but I don't think I know where it came from. I have always wanted to write about teenagers, specifically teenagers getting up to no good in the park, and but that in and of itself isn't a story. And then I think what happened was that I was sorting through my sock drawer. As you do. And I was just thinking, I think I was listening to some kind of like news report or something about teen pregnancies or something. And I was thinking about how horrible people are about teenagers who get pregnant and how judgmental people tend to get about it. And I think a lot of people start talking in very broad strokes about like that kind of person who gets into trouble. And then I thought, oh, well, I'd actually quite like to write a book that sort of subverted those expectations, because I think a lot of people think that there's only certain people from a certain socioeconomic background with certain like sort of family issues that get pregnant, and that's nonsense. Yeah. And actually, like basically the whole my whole thing, and when I'm writing anything actually, is that it's almost like there's no such thing as stereotypes. There are only people, and that's what I wanted to do with Trouble.
And it's obviously a book that is really frank about the reality of what teenage relationships are like. Is that something that you particularly wanted to address and talk about very openly and frankly?
Definitely. So I always say that I write, I always say that I write for 14-year-old Non. And 14-year-old Non was really, really interested in all of the things that she wasn't doing. So she was like, I really, really wanted to know. I was desperate to know about real relationships, and I was sick of reading books where things kind of faded to black, because I wanted to know what happened next, because I wasn't having any of those experiences myself. So my natural course was to want to read about them and sort of find out about them. So yeah, I've always wanted to be frank about teenage sexual relationships, but also about everything else. Because if you're going to be frank about one thing, you've got to be honest about everything else. Otherwise, I don't know, it's a bit manipulative, I think.
And because it is, you know, people do still want to tiptoe around this idea about, you know, what teenagers are really getting up to and all that kind of thing. Were you worried at all that people would sort of find it very controversial or have difficulty with that element of it?
Not yes and no. So my background is that I worked in publishing already as an editor at Catnip Books, which is a fantastic little publishing house. And I kind of knew that knew that publishers and publishing are a lot more brave and a lot more bold than I think a lot of people might think they are.
Might give them credit for.
Yeah. So I wasn't frightened about writing it and then sending it out on submission. And I don't know that I was frightened about people reading it, but I do sometimes get a bit scared sort of after I've written it, and once it's out there I get a bit kind of like, oh, maybe people will be a bit annoyed by this. Never mind. So I'm checking that there aren't people asking us questions.
Good.
No, there aren't. It's all fine. We're all
Good.
fine.
It's just down to me then.
Yeah.
And obviously, one of the things that really stands out about Trouble is the voices of the young people. They're very, very distinctive voices. How did you kind of go about creating those? Were you literally sitting on the back of the bus listening, or was it a bit of, again, the 14-year-old non who was like coming through?
It's definitely like, I think there's a lot of 14-year-old non. So I'm very pleased that people thought that I have realistic voices, or rather that the voices of Hannah and Aaron are realistic. But I don't think I really did any research or tried very hard. I think mostly I just relied on my memory of what it was like to be 14, and also just generally being aware of people and how they exist and how they talk. And actually, like, my theory is that actually grown-ups and teenagers aren't really very different from each other at all. And I would maybe suggest that I talk a lot like Hannah and Aaron, and certainly because I'm on Twitter a lot of the time, which is encouraging us, and I think it's encouraging all adults who are on Twitter to talk in shorter, more succinct bursts. I think we're all communicating in a more similar manner to the way that teenagers communicate with each other. So
that's very interesting. I hadn't really thought of that, but I can see what you mean. Yeah, sort of like everyone's on a level.
Yeah, I think, it was like, I'm not saying, obviously in the past people just talked to each other with words and mouths, but I think you're sort of forced into being more succinct by communicating online, and I spend a lot of time communicating online. No one's communicating with us. Come on, people, communicate.
Ask us a question.
So
you're on the shortlist with Trouble for the first ever year of the YA Book Prize.
It's very exciting.
How's that been?
Super exciting. I'm so excited.
It is sort of Teen Trouble week this week, isn't it?
It is. Hashtag Team Trouble. Sorry. So it's Team Trouble week. I'm really excited. The thing is, I would be really excited whether or not Trouble was on the shortlist, because a lot of people who've worked in publishing for a while remember when there was the Book Trust Teenage Prize. And I really mourned the loss of that as a reader. So I think it's fantastic that there's another prize specifically focused on raising the awareness of teen fiction and celebrating it. And I don't know, it's super exciting. That in and of itself is super exciting, and I would be excited about that. The fact that I'm on it is like, I don't know, I sort of short circuit. I'm too excited, I can't cope.
But these are great times for UK YA, aren't they?
I love that, because I actually realise that, so I do a lot of stuff. Obviously I go into schools and talk to teenagers, and I've got like lots of different presentations that I do. And I realised that whenever I do presentations, I spend most of my time talking about other people's books, because I really like other people's books, and it's much easier to talk about them than talk about my own. So I tend to put up like a huge slide recommending loads and loads and loads of authors, and I realised they're all from the UK.
Yeah.
I didn't even do it on purpose, but like I have a whole slide that's something like, I don't know, like 16 books, and it's all UK YA.
Well, there's certainly plenty of them to go at. Lots of great ones. Shall we talk a little bit about Remix?
We could. We're gonna. I've got the exciting cover reveal, but I have no idea if anybody wants to see the cover.
I'm sure that they do. Surely they want to see the cover.
Okay.
Why don't you tell us a bit about the
book? No, maybe I should do that.
Yeah.
So Remix is my second book.
Yeah.
It's dual narrative again. So I've got two main characters, and they're two best friends, Kaz and Ruby, and they both. Basically, the premise is that they've both broken up with their boyfriends prior to the start of the book, and they're going to this music festival, Remix, so they're basically, the whole plan is to get over their boyfriends and just sort of move on and have a fantastic time. And over the course of the weekend, basically I sum it up with like, it's a weekend of increasingly bad decision making. Nothing goes to plan at all. Really, yeah.
Is this at all inspired by any of your own former festival experiences?
Yes.
Good.
Yes, totally. Like I think I'm someone who borrows heavily, not just from my experience, but I borrow from everywhere. I'll take. If you tell me a story, I'll steal it and take it as my own. So I can draw on all of my experience that I've had of going to festivals, going to gigs, and like my own like love of music and like the relationship that I have with music, which is very, very important to me. And actually, I used to be really touchy talking about it. So it's interesting that I've written a whole book about it. But also, like in Trouble, one of the things that I wanted to focus on was the friendship angle between Hannah and Aaron. And so in this one, in Remix, I'm focusing again on the friendship angle, but it's more about two best friends who have known each other for a really, really long time. So.
And how was writing the second book compared to writing the first book?
Really hard. Really hard. So hard.
Did it feel different?
In every way, yeah. So what I've learned is that for me to write a book and for me to do it and not feel like I'm going crazy is that I need to have a beginning and I need to have an end, and I will just move from one to the other, and that's fine. I don't need to know anything about what happens between the beginning and the end. I'll just sail on through it. That's what I did with Trouble. I always knew the first line and I always knew the last line. Remix, no idea. All I had was middle, so I just spent my entire. So in the course of writing Remix, I wrote in excess of 300,000 words.
Wow.
Over the course of basically 1 year.
And let's put this into context. How many words is the book?
The book is 65,000 words.
So you
long.
basically wrote the book at least 4 times.
4 times. I have written this book 4 times. I mean, some of those words were repeated because I just I'd just be like, scrap this and then copy and paste. But still, yeah. So that's what happens if you're someone who needs a beginning and an end. You shouldn't write a book where you only really know what happens in the middle. It took a long time. I found the beginning and I found the end, but it was tricky.
And tell me a bit about the music in the book. Is it real music that it's based on, or fictional, or a mixture of both?
It's a mixture of both. So, sorry, I got too excited. There's a question appeared in the corner.
We'll answer that one in a minute.
The relationship with music. So it's a mixture of real music and fictional music. So there are some bands referenced that I think I would consider will be classics that I don't think will necessarily date the book. It's often referring to artists from the past rather than artists that are really super duper current. But then also I've just made up bands, which was fun. Making up fun band names is the best. And also I've made up some song lyrics as well.
That sounds like a lot of fun.
That was also a lot of fun. I don't think there's actually that many in there in the end, but it was still fun.
An enjoyable process.
Yeah.
Shall we do the cover reveal now?
Oh yeah, let's do the cover reveal.
Let's do that.
Okay.
And then we can go on to answer some questions.
There's a question. So the cover reveal for Remix. I'm basically going to pick up this book I have over here, and I'm going to wave it at you. And I'm hoping that people are watching and they're very excited about the cover.
They definitely are.
To be honest, if you are watching this and you are excited about the cover, you can just say, I really like the cover, and you will automatically be entered for the Remix goodie bag.
Yeah, it's a very good goodie bag.
Yeah, it's a very good goodie bag, and you have really good odds of winning it. Okay, let's do this. Okay, there we go. Ta-da! That's the cover of my book.
What I really like about this is it kind of looks sort of festival postery. You know, it's got those kind of like Reading and Leeds kind of colours.
The Reading and Leeds colours. I wonder why.
Could be a clue.
Could be a clue. And also, right, so basically, I love the sperm on Trouble, but the thing I love most about this cover is the spine.
It is a lovely spine.
Look at this.
That's very nice.
Yeah. They're
going to look lovely next to each other.
So the designer, Jack, I love him. I actually I'm genuinely half in love with Jack just for this and the sperm.
Obviously.
Oh, the sperm. So there you go.
Shall we answer a question from someone watching?
Someone.
Let's do this one. So I'm not sure if I need to say this or not.
I think you need to say it.
We're currently answering. Who is your favourite author and why? This is a question from Rhiannon. My favourite author, I have many favourite authors. I'll start with saying that my favourite book is The Knife of Never Letting Go by Patrick Ness. A good choice.
Good choice. I know, it's a good choice. Which I read in one sitting on a plane over to New Zealand, and I do not recommend reading a book of that emotional magnitude whilst trapped on a plane with lots of people who will look at you weirdly when you go, oh, which is what I did. And everybody turned around and like, what's going on? So he's one of my favourite authors who has made one of my favourite books, and the rest of the trilogy is fantastic. Monster Calls is fantastic, and More Than This is on the long list for Carnegie. He's a superb writer. But I also really like Frances Harding, who I'm actually reading right now, and there's a book of hers in my bag, because I really like how rich and wonderful and varied her language is. I do stuff like I'll read. I'm very annoying to sit with when I read. I'll just be like, oh, listen to this, and then I'll just read out sentences. And sometimes I'll just do it with the cats. It's a bit weird. So those are two of my favourite authors. So I love Patrick Ness for his like complete lack of fear. I think is the thing that I like most. He really does not care about how much he's going to make you hurt, and I love that. And Frances Harding, I really like. I love her language, her imagination, and it actually makes my head boggle to think that someone can have that much imagination.
And they're two very different writers, but then they also have quite a lot in common in terms of that thing of being quite bold, being very ambitious. Like there's no sense there of like, this is what writing for teens and young adults can do. We put it in this box. And no. It's like breaking out. It's just going, Yeah,
that's it. Like I think, like personally, I don't think. I think the people who I admire most who are writing for teenagers now don't say to themselves that teenagers and YA fiction. I don't think they think this is what I'm doing.
No,
when they're doing it,
they're just writing.
They just write a book that they really want people. Well, not people to read, that they really want to write. I think that's really all you can do.
Yeah, definitely.
And oh look. Rhiannon also likes the cover. You're doing very well. You're great odds here.
So tell us a bit about how you write. So what's like your writing routine? Do you have one? Do you have like a place that you like to write?
I do have a place that I like to write. So I have two desks in my office. So I have my granddad's old desk, which is really huge, lovely, vast, lovely desk, which it's taken me a long time to realise I cannot put a computer on my granddad's desk because of the way that the desk is designed. It was not designed for computers back in antiques days when they didn't have computers. So I sit and I do handwriting, do any notes or do any reading or do any editing at my granddad's desk. And then I have like a super duper posh sit-stand desk.
Oh, wow.
To improve my posture, which I was very excited when I bought my sit-stand desk, and now I just sit at it. That's my computer. So I have the writing desk and the...
And do you feel like that you work in a different way? Like, is the work that you produce different at the sort of antique desk?
No, it's all the same stuff. But yeah, and I always say that I just write whatever I feel like at the time. So I'm not someone who goes, I have to write this scene, and then I have to write that scene, and then I have to write this scene. I'm just like, I fancy writing a fight scene.
And do you write out of the house, in cafes, on the bus?
Not really. I did when I was working and when I was commuting. I would I got myself a little thingy, typey thingy, a little typey thingy, a notebook, like one of those little notebook ones. Yeah, but it spent all its time updating. So I don't write on that anymore. And also I don't commute anymore. I just walk from my bedroom down the stairs to my office.
That's a great commute.
It's a great commute. Although, as it turns out, if you are one of those people who works from home, remember to leave the house and walk, because if you don't use your legs for a year, bad things happen.
That's some very wise advice.
Yeah, that's my writing advice. Move.
Right, that's good advice.
Yeah.
One thing I wanted to ask you, so you've written 2 contemporary YA books. Would you ever consider writing genre, fantasy, science fiction, anything like that?
I think we've indicated by my choice of favourite authors is that I really, really like stuff that uses good imagination. Probably also stuff that uses good vocabulary. Anyway, so I always say I write for teen non, and I always say I write the kinds of books that teen non most wanted to read, because they didn't exist, and I write for what she wanted to read. However, I would love to explore the possibility of writing something that was similar to the things that teen non was reading, which was Robin Jarvis and Dick Francis. I don't want to write I don't want to write about crime-solving jockeys, but I would quite like to write about world-saving mice.
Okay.
So yeah,
good.
That kind of like really sort of create your whole world. But that's probably just something I'll do in my spare time.
And would you ever write historical?
No,
doesn't appeal.
Historical requires research.
Yeah,
not great at research.
This is true.
Yeah, yes. You're like, this is true, because in case anybody watching doesn't already know this, Katherine is also an author of The Clockwork Sparrow.
Well, we actually are sharing a publication date, aren't we?
Yeah, we are.
On the 4th of June.
Yes.
So it's going to be extra fun.
It's going to be awesome. There's so many books out on the 4th of June. They're awesome. And 2 of them are ours.
So while we're on the subject of YA, I just wondered what your thoughts are on whether there are any subjects that YA should or shouldn't tackle. Are there any boundaries? Are there any taboos? Is there anything that you can't write about in YA? Or that you wouldn't write about in YA?
I always say I won't write about religion in a contemporary context, because I'm not someone who is very religious at all, but I know that lots of people are, and actually I have a lot of respect for other people's beliefs. So I don't think that I would be able to tackle it in a realistic context in a sensitive and believable manner. So I would say, I'm not saying I would never do that, but right now, the idea of me trying to do that is terrifying. Outside of that context, I would be fine about exploring beliefs and kind of how they affect people and what you do and et cetera, but that's kind of like a nice little thought experiment rather than the reality. So I wouldn't feel comfortable doing that. But
in terms of just generally as a rule, you don't think that there's anything?
I don't think there's anything. No, I think YA can do anything. The only thing that I would, but the thing that I always say is that I do think that YA can do anything, but I do feel that the people who are writing for teenagers, I think that you just need to be sensitive. I think you just need to be aware that, I don't know, I would always be like, don't be gratuitous.
So it's about how things are handled.
Yeah.
They're being
I think there's anything, you can tackle anything. I just think that you have to tackle it in a way that, I don't know, is responsible for your audience. That sounds a bit preachy. I'm not really very preachy. I just mean, don't do anything nasty.
It's a good rule for life.
Yeah, don't be nasty. Yeah.
So if you were to give people one piece of advice if they want to go out and write YA, apart from don't just sit down all day and move around. What would it be?
I hate writing advice. Only because I think so that basically everybody I know just goes, best writing advice is do whatever you want to do that will get you writing, which I think is perfectly valid. What's my other tip? Oh no, but when pushed, I say that basically my number one tip is to write because you love writing, and don't write with a view to getting published, and give your heart to what you're writing. Because the thing is, this is kind of me speaking as an editor, even though I'm not anymore. Whenever I read something, you could always tell whether or not it would be written with love. And like the stuff that you read and the stuff that gets published, it's all being written from the heart. And that comes from the writer. So, write because you love it.
I think that is a very good piece of advice. Definitely. Yeah. I do. I was going to ask you some silly World Book Day questions now.
I'm very excited about World Book Day. Honest to God,
it's tomorrow.
I've been counting down the days.
So tell us what you will be doing on World Book Day.
So on World Book Day, I will be dressing up a small person. So there's a book called Please Mr. Panda.
Lovely book.
So lovely, which was featured on Down the Rabbit Hole, which is a radio podcast that Katherine is also involved with. By last month or something.
Yes, we did,
Really, really lovely book. But basically, the upside of doing this was that I got to take it home and share it with a small person. The small person really likes Please Mr. Panda.
Amazing.
So there's a panda onesie and little donut hat, and we've made like a tray of like fake donuts.
So what we should explain here is that this picture book is about Panda. Who has some donuts that he wants to share, some lovely colourful ring donuts. So I'm imagining that quite a lot of donuts will feature in this costume. Yeah,
no, totally. So it's like we made like little tiny mini donuts and we put fake icing on them and sprinkled glitter. I think maybe I'm more excited about this than anybody else in my house. So I'll be donning the outfit and getting rid of that. And then I'm going on a school visit, where I'm doing 3 sessions, where I'll be doing a workshop on character development, which it's a new workshop, and I'm very excited about it, and then a talk on gender in pop culture.
Ooh,
It's my new
Great.
favourite. It's my new favourite topic.
And I'm guessing that you will not be going in your World Book Day costume.
I will be dressed as an author.
Oh,
actually, no,
very
that's
good.
not even true. If I was being dressed as an author, I would turn up in my pajamas with my slippers
I thought
and
you were
my
going to say with like a black polo neck jumper and some like black frame glasses.
I love
See it
that.
with a pencil.
It's like that's almost like an internet meme. What people think authors are like. Yeah. What authors are actually like.
So okay, if you were dressing up as a book character for World Book Day, what character would you choose?
Yeah, you see, now Katherine did give me prep here for this, and I still haven't thought of anything. I think maybe I would be like I thought something. Oh, you saw the light. You saw the light there.
The glint of inspiration.
I mentioned that Robin Jarvis was my favourite author when I was growing up. So I think it would be really cool if I went dressed as Piccadilly the Mouse. Although dressing as Piccadilly the Mouse, you didn't wear clothes. So
well, you just have a mouse
brown
costume.
Fur.
Yeah,
or grey. Who's a city mouse, so big grey.
A mouse onesie.
A mouse onesie, and I'd have a mouse brass, which children might be given when they came of age, and I'd have a lightning bolt. That's for bravery.
Excellent.
Mouse brass.
That's a very good answer.
There we go. I'm so excited now.
I think it's probably about time.
Yeah, we're done.
Is there anything else that you want to tell everyone before we go? Have we got any questions? Look,
some people have been saying nice things. Hang on. We have questions.
Okay.
You talk to the camera whilst I look at the questions. What are you doing?
It's my job to ask the questions.
What are you doing on World Book Day?
Oh, well, I'm one of the projects I work on at Book Chest is the Blue Peter Book Awards, and we're announcing the winners of that tomorrow, so that's going to be keeping me busy. And then I will also be back here tomorrow evening for another Google Hangout with Holly Smale.
Oh,
who books are right behind me up here.
I think Holly Smale has a very busy day tomorrow.
Yeah, so at 7:20. If you've enjoyed this, then tune in again, and we will be chatting about all things Geek Girl and World Book Day, celebrating World Book Day.
Celebrating Book Day. Oh, okay. We have a question. So we have a question from Lucy Iverson, who is the co-author of Lobsters, which is one of the other books on the YA Book Prize shortlist. Which is it's really funny. And if you're talking about honest teen relationships, it's absolutely fantastic. And Lucy wants to know, was my second book harder than my first? And the answer is yes, so much harder. And I was really sniffy. I was like, I've written a book already. I've been an editor.
How hard can another one be?
I've been an editor. I've seen people make books. It's no big deal. And that attitude just came to bite me on the ass, basically. And
it's like a difficult second album.
Yeah, completely. It's not just a rumour. I thought it was people just making it up. And I think that might be the only other question we have.
Okay, well that's good because we've run out of time. So that was absolutely perfect. So I think that's all from us. Thanks very much, Non. It's been lovely chatting. Yes.
Boom.
I hope you've enjoyed it.
Oh, should we just do that for? Should we do this? Well. You. Woo. Is that done now?
I think so.
Can we stop? We don't know what we're doing.